this is like a continuation of the live I made yesterday in regards to the Venezuela oil crisis, not oil crisis, but the Venezuelan crisis and how the U.S. had did what they did and they captured the president over there, and now he's facing charges for narco terrorism and some other stuff. But there was some other things like I was saying I had on the list to cover, but I wasn't able to cover everything because I was already an hour over, and I was already saying I'm trying to keep the lives because most of the views are gonna be like the replays. Like people are not gonna actually be viewing it live because my channel is small, and I've already made posts saying I'm going live. But, it just shows you have to be consistent either way because if you're not consistent, then people are gonna take the bills that they're stutter. Sorry, I'm gonna say that again. If you're not consistent on YouTube or whatever that you're doing, people are going to take their business elsewhere. So, yeah, while they still sub to you, there's other people that they may be watching because they're the ones that be inconsistent. They're the ones putting in the work. While you, on the other hand, is just still struggling. You're not putting things out there like you thought you would. And I've already told y'all that's where I'm at right now. And I'm just trying to pick myself back up. So, this is a continuation. I have a few more points I want to talk about. Okay, so let me get my pen so I can check them off. As I go. All right, so this whole thing with Trump and Greenland, I really want to see exactly why he's so obsessed with Greenland. And I did talk about it in the live yesterday, briefly, but that was just based off of my own observation. But I literally want to search this up so that way it just won't be my own speculation. I want it to be actually facts versus just my speculation. So let's see. Let's see. Why does Trump? And you know what's so crazy is that that's the first. I could not even put want. I could not even put want in the search bar yet. And here it is. They predicting what I already want to put. What kind of witchcraft is this, man? AI is witchcraft, man. I ain't gonna lie. AI is witchcraft. The simple fact that Alright, we'll continue. Anyway, I'm gonna still type it out anyway. Even though they already have it on there. You still want to type things up? Because right now, if we see something that's I know it's kind of veering off the topic, but I want to talk about it because we have a very bad problem. We have a very, I want to say bad, I mean bad too, but what I mean to say is, we have a serious problem of our words. We don't like typing things no more. Well, no, hold on. Yeah, we don't like typing things, but we don't even like writing things no more. We can't even spell simple words. I remember, like, I'll catch myself every now and then, like, how do you spell this again? Then, I have to pronounce it in order to spell it out correctly. I'm like, what kind of crap is this? We can't even spell the simplest words. I remember, this is not to throw my mom under the bus, but she asked me how to spell a word. I'm like, I thought to myself, I'm like, she asked me how to spell this word. I'm like, oh no. So I told her how to spell it, and then I'm like, that's not good. We don't even know how to spell words. Anyway, we need to get back to writing. We can't be doing all this auto spell, auto correct. We just need to know how to spell words out correctly whenever we write them or type them. We have to stop depending so much. That's another topic I'm going to talk about in another live. Or I may just do a whole commentary about that because AI is literally ruining people in all other aspects. While there's good things that AI is while there's good aspects of AI, there are some aspects that is literally destroying human intelligence. Crazy work, man. All right, let's see. Oh boy, let's see. Hold on. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna briefly look at a few articles because I want to hear multiple sides, right? Because, like I said, we could be biased, but I want to hear each side and then compare and see which one is really lining up with what's going on now. We have to line everything up. We have to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Because yes, while we're going to have differing opinions on one matter, we have to really see which one is going to make the most sense. Because right now, all those countries, all the superpowers are looking at other countries. All right, let's just be real with that. Other countries are looking at, or the superpowers are looking at other countries. Russia, all right, all right. Let me use an example. When the U.S. they have an embassy, I think it was in Ghana. They had when they were they either hung or they were trying to hang a gay flag there and try to, you know what, man? Let me search that up so that way y'all can understand what I'm saying. America Pride flag. Let me see. Let me see. So I want to make sure what I'm about to say is going to be, at actually facts. Waiting for it to load, taking a long time. Come on. Let's see. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Not today. No flight today. It was a ad for an airline. If y'all were trying to figure out what I was saying about no flying today, I still need to get my passport. See the laws. Okay, but here's one thing I would say that Biden did that was, but still, like the whole administration was just a whole hot mess. I know it was somewhere. Yeah, I mean, right here it says funding bill bars U.S. embassies from flying. I think they meant to put ban. Did they meant to put bans or bars? Let's see. We'll go further into the law signed by U.S. President Joe Biden says that no U.S. funding can be used to fly or display a flag over a facility of the United States Department of State. Okay. So this was March of 2024. Tucked in the massive funding bill signed on March 23rd by President Joe Biden is a provision banning. Okay, the person that edited this article forgot to spell ban right. Oh my goodness. I was just talking about that, right? And then here we go. Here's a word that was spelled. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. But the White House has vowed to work toward its repeal. I'm sorry, I kind of read. Okay. By President Joe Biden is a provision banning the flying of LGBTQ, all the words that it stands for, pride flags over U.S. embassies. But the White House has vowed to work toward its repeal. The prohibits the, ooh boy, trying to pronounce this word. The prohibition was one of many side issues included in the mammoth U.S. 1.2 trillion, 1.6 trillion package to fund government through September, which passed early on March 23rd, shortly after a midnight deadline. As a Republican House Speaker, Mike Johnson, a conservative Christian, scrambled for votes to get the bill passed in his chamber, he boasted of the pride flag ban as a reason his party should support the bill. The Daily Beast reported. All right, so that's not it. That's not. Hold on. That's not what I was talking about. Let's see, where is it? Administration. Space pride flag and God. Let me see. Alright, so I don't know where that source is. Somebody told me that a while back. I'm glad I did my research because now I'm starting to really fact check myself on a lot of stuff. On some things, I won't say everything, but that right there, I would have to get back to that because I'm going off topic today. Alright, so that'll be another topic. I'll continue to do more research on that. Okay. So for now, it's not it never was a thing. It was probably somebody speculating. So you have to do your own research. So let's go back to what was originally the topic. Okay, look at the strategic importance of Greenland as Trump escalates through. President Trump said that he hoped for a resolution on his threat to annex Greenland, but disagreements remain following Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio meeting with the foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland at the White House. Amna the Wise discussed the latest with Rob Brar, if I'm pronouncing their names right, the former chair of the NATO Military Committee. President Trump said today that he hoped for a resolution on his threat to annex Greenland that followed Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio meeting with FARC. I thought I just read that. Okay, so they're like going back and forth. So this was like what she said, and then versus what he said, and then they just go back and forth. So President Trump said Greenland is very important for the national security, including of Denmark. And the problem is there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it if Russia or China wants to occupy Greenland. But there's everything we can do. And then she responded, Danish Foreign Minister Lars Loke Rasmussen said after the meeting that a working group would be established to discuss a broad range of issues. He also said it was clear that he and his colleague did not manage to change the American position and that it remains clear that Trump wishes to conquer Greenland. So you remember what I was saying the other day of how the superpowers are looking for other countries to gain closer and closer and closer? Almost like the same thing with the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's what's going on now. Venezuela has a lot of oil. But then, like I said the other day, they were trying to take more oil from Guyana, their neighboring country. So if China is buying more oil, then it's like, okay, well, Venezuela was looking for more oil. That was the conflict that was going on with Guyana and Venezuela back in 2023. So going back to this, but the people in Greenland and NATO member Denmark rejected, and the threat has deeply rattled the rest of the alliance. For more on all this, we turn now to retired Dutch Admiral Rob Brar. From 2021 to January of 2025, he was a chair member of the military committee of NATO. Okay, all right. So I guess they pretty much, yeah, and then they go back and forth. So let's just start with your reaction to those meetings today between Danish and Greenland officials and the Trump administration and the Danish foreign minister, saying there are fundamental disagreements that remain between the parties. And then he replied, Rob Laura, well, those remarks are for him, of course, but this is not a new thing. The United States tried a president in, I think, 1867 or something, tried to buy Greenland already. And so this is a long-standing wish from the U.S. to have more influence in Greenland. And that's because of the strategic positioning of the geography of Greenland. Okay, so here we have two conflicting points. Let me search when the United States are trying to buy Greenland. Hold on. Like I said, we're going to study. We're just going to see what these people are saying. And he said, I think. Wait, what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? What did he say? He said, I think 1867 or something, that the United States tried to buy Greenland already. All right, let's see. Because, back then, the Native Americans were here. We already know that. We already know history. We already know what happened when the colonists came. But let's see. Did the U.S. try to buy Greenland? Well, see, with Greenland, they're like a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. But yeah, after World War II, the U.S. secretly offered to buy Greenland In 2019, U.S. President Trump described his intention to purchase a country as essentially a real estate deal. Okay, rebranding it after his 2024 re-election as part of his American expansionism policy. All right, let's see what that's about. All right, so this is yeah, U.S. expansionism refers to America's policy of territorial and economic growth, famously driven by manifest destiny. The belief is destined continental conquest, leading to land acquisitions like the Louisiana Purchase, Oregon Territory, and vast territories from Mexico, Mexican American War, but also evolving into overseas expansion with naval power and economic influence seen in Hawaii, the Philippines, and the open door policy in China, shaping U.S. power projection globally. Let's see. All right, let me see. Just to ask questions. What does Russia have to do with? So, I mean, we already know that Denmark wants Greenland, but if Trump is saying that, then all right, now the submarines. Now there were submarines that was in the water. Like I said, there's things I agree with and there's things I disagree with. You know, if other countries are opposed to take care of other countries, then they should be doing everything that they can to prevent whatever other power may be closing in on us. I mean, that was like the whole point, I guess, that he was trying to make. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. What body of water is Greenland surrounded by? I mean, you already know it's water, but let me see. Just to make for sure. What? Let's see. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? right, so okay, so yeah, this is what it says. The United States tried, and he said President, I think 1867 or something, tried to buy Greenland already, and so this is a long-standing wish from the U.S., which is true, have more influence in Greenland, and that is because of the strategic positioning of the geography of Greenland. If you look at the map from the polar circle, then basically you see that Greenland is in between Russia and the United States. And what we see as a result of global warming is that the waters north or the polar and polar region are warming up, and therefore the ice is melting, and those waters will become navigable. Okay, and that is good news for the merchant vessels that China wants to use to bring its goods, and that it produces to Europe and the United States. But if merchant vessels can navigate through those waters, then also naval vessels can navigate through those waters. And that will allow the Chinese and Russian Pacific fleet to actually come to the North Atlantic much faster than via any route. And that is, of course, a strategic risk. Huh. It took me a while. I was trying to search other things, to see what the other reasons why Trump on Greenland. But okay, Trump already said something about Russia, and then the person did go on to say, well, yeah, U.S. tried to buy Greenland, I think in 1867. All right, hold on. And then Amna Nawaz replied, "May I ask you though, how about the perceived threat right now? Because let me just play for you how the President Trump, I don't know what she was trying to say. President Trump talks about the threat from Russia and China at this moment. Here's what he said this week. President Trump, we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers, and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place. Didn't I just talk about that? We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland. And that's what they're going to do if we don't. I told y'all, this was all power. This is all coming about because the countries are trying to move closer and closer and closer so they can have more presence. I told you this was all about power. This is more than just all about, well, he just wants the resources. Yes, I mean, okay, I understand. Yes, resources are another thing. That's true. But why do they want the resources? You have to power certain equipment, certain military equipment. The aircraft needs fuel. All of that. Come on. This is like kind of psychological games too at it too. With war, it's not only physical, but it's also psychologically. Alright, so Amna Nawaz replied, also, Admiral, today the Danish foreign minister said this on that same topic. Take a listen. Lars Loke Rasmussen, Danish foreign minister, is not a true narrative that we have Chinese warships all around the place. According to our allegiance, we haven't had a Chinese warship in Greenland for a decade or so. So Admiral, and then replying to that, so Admiral, who is right on this? When you look at the landscape right now, are there Russian and Chinese warships all around Greenland, as President Trump says? And then Admiral Rob Burrow said, I hope you understand that since I left NATO, I am not privy to any longer to intelligence as I was in that job. So I can't compete with the people in office, both in Denmark and the United States. But what I do know is that Russians are allowing the Chinese to enter their waters. And they are doing this for a couple of years already. They have combined air patrols with long-range rec- uh, reconnaissance aircraft from both air forces, Russian and Chinese. They operate together with their coast guards, and this is not just to study polar bears, as General Grenquich, the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, said. This is to repair military as well. So this is preparing the grounds. This is getting to know the grounds. This is gaining intelligence. I tell you, gaining experience in difficult waters and difficult weather. And so for the Chinese, this is a great opportunity where the Russians, for a very long time, didn't allow anyone in those waters. And now, as they are becoming more and more of the little nephew in that relationship because of their dependence on China, which they do depend on China, because of the Ukraine war, where China basically not only gives political support, but also all the raw materials and the parts for the weapons and sensors and ammunition that Russia is building for that war. So the Russians are so dependent on China and that they have allowed China into the Arctic. Oh, okay. All right, Arctic. And I think that is what President Trump is so worried about. That it is not only Russia that is patrolling those waters and is getting access to those waters, but it is increasingly also China. All right. Okay. So as I'm hearing you, Amnon Nawaz replied, so as I'm hearing you, you're saying there's a growing threat and there could be a growing threat against Greenland, where Article 5 protections extended from Denmark, which is a NATO ally. Would those not be enough to protect Greenland? Or do you support President Trump's argument that it needs to be under U.S. control to be adequately protected? Then Rob Rohr replied, I don't think it's necessary that it is under U.S. control. This is a territory of the Danish kingdom. Greenland is part of that. And so it is part of the Danish kingdom. And therefore, it is up to Denmark and together with Greenland to work on that. But we've already seen that based off of that meeting that Trump had. I forgot when it was. I think it was November or something. Trump was pretty much explaining to Europe that right now y'all don't know what y'all doing, and y'all not running your countries the right way. He was just listing everything that they were doing that was wrong, from the immigration crisis and all that was going on in England. And I already made a video about that too. I never thought the day I would be the person to do a lot of research. And like I said, I still want to enjoy my youth, but it's like right now, it's like I still have to, if, I have a lot of knowledge and there's something I want to share, I'm going to put it on the channel, but I cannot waste all my time. And I already told y'all, I can't waste my time getting into politics too much. But when it's something that needs to be talked about, then I'll put it on here. Hey, I have to have a balance. I still got to enjoy my life, but I think I told y'all the other day, with much wisdom comes much sorrow. That's like in Ecclesiastes 1 verse 18, I think. Yeah. So, I had my ups and downs, because times have changed. We're not young anymore. I mean, what I'm saying, I'm young, but not like to the point to where I'm a kid and I'm not paying the news any mind. The news gets flashed in my face every time, so I'm like, okay, well, they keep talking about this, they keep talking about that. So what do I have to do? I have to research it. But whenever I research it, then I'm gonna talk about it, so I could bring more light on this situation instead of a whole bunch of misunderstanding, because that's what's going on now. People are like, oh, he want to buy Greenland. I'm like, wait a minute. Trump is like playing chess right now. believe it or not. China's doing the same thing. Russia, they all been doing this for years. We don't learn from history. The Cuban Missile Crisis, we're not learning from history. And I'm still doing more research on the Cuban Missile Crisis. I want to research a lot of things so that way I can know, why things are the way that they are. Every country has had its faults. America has a lot of dirt on their hands. China has a lot of dirt on their hands. Russia has a lot of dirt on their hands. The English has a lot of dirt on their hands. They were trying to colonize the whole world. And in the midst of all that, it was so many atrocities. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Now y'all can read the rest of this in your own time. This is on PBS. Now there was another article that I wanted to talk about, but I may have to let me go ahead and check that off because I have to go to work today. I have to go in earlier today. So I'm gonna have to continue this maybe. Let's see. I'm gonna try to continue this as soon as I can, but yeah, this is just giving you an idea of why this may be happening. Okay, so that article was like a day ago. See, it was a day ago on PBS. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, there's something about a golden dome, and then Israel had something when Iran was they were exchanging missiles back and forth in that conflict. They had something called the Iron Dome or something like that that was intercepting the missiles. Hold on. It says the United States. All right, this article's loading. Hold on. It says. All right, this is on NBC Chicago. Why does President Trump want the U.S. to control Greenland? Here's what to know. President Donald Trump has made plenty of calls for the United States to annex or purchase Greenland, and that has only intensified in recent weeks. Trump had brought up the idea of taking over Greenland during his first term in office, and shortly into his second term, brought up the idea again, once again causing the Danish officials to push back on his rhetoric. Let me see. Let me go to that part. Oh, let's see. Where is it? All right, here it is. I mean, like I say, I can read the rest of it, but I just want to skip to that part to where it says by Russia. It said the president has argued repeatedly that the country is vital to U.S. defense operations and has specifically mentioned the construction of the Golden Dome missile defense program as a reason behind the desire. The United States needs Greenland for the purpose of national security. It is vital for the Golden Dome that we are building. NATO should be leading the way for us to get it, Trump recently wrote in a post on Truth Social. The president has also argued that Russia or China would aim to take over Greenland if it isn't put under U.S. control, a claim that has been criticized by foreign policy experts. If we don't, Russia or China will, and that's not going to happen, Trump said in a social media post. Militarily, without the vast power of the United States, much of which I built during my first term, and am now bringing to a new and even higher level. NATO would not be an effective force or deterrent. They know that, and so do I. But you know what? I can agree with him on that, because you see what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. was all because Ukraine wanted to join NATO, but that war has not ended yet. It's still going on. And you know that war is about to approach 4 years, like in February. The 22nd. Yeah, the 22nd, I think. Okay. Um, all right, so to go back to the top of what I was reading before skipping down to that part, just so you know, read it. Uh, Now the president has assigned a special envoy to Greenland. He has dispatched the vice president and secretary of state for talks on how to move forward, even as Denmark insists they have no interest in ceding control of the island to the United States. While most of the talk has surrounded by U.S. purchasing Greenland, Trump has also said that the U.S. will do something on Greenland whether they like it or not, and has said that using the military is always an option to acquire Danish territory. Man, I said Trump, that's just how he is, man. You can love him or hate him. I already told y'all. There's things I agree with him on, and there's some things I disagree with him on. Here's a breakdown of why Trump has been so adamant about the U.S. taking control of Greenland and what Denmark officials, NATO, and Greenland residents have to say about the plan. Okay, so I already pretty much read down there, so I'm going to go ahead and end it there because I have to get ready to go to work. I have to go in early today. So I have, let me see, one. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Y'all can leave your comments in the comment section. If there's anything that y'all know, y'all can share, like any article I can go over. Just leave it in the comment section down below. But until the next one, I'm signing out. Later.